Hi, it's Professor Monte. Let's talk about solving inequalities graphically. Now, I've got two examples up here. The graphs are already drawn. Obviously, if you are presented the problem, they say solve the inequality graphically, but they don't give you the graphs. The first thing you're going to do is draw the graphs. But they're just graphs of lines. In this case, we had a parabola. You'll have to do that from what we learned previously. But once we have the graphs, let's talk about how to answer these questions. So the first one says solve f of x is greater than g of x. Well, the blue graph is f of x, the red graph is g of x. What does this mean, though? Well, remember the function value, whether it's f of x or g of x, it's the function value that's always a y value. So the y value of this first line is greater than the y value of the second line. Here's the first line, here's the second line. So what are they talking about? Well, if the y value is greater, it just means it's above. So in this case, this is saying since f of x is greater than g of x, it means the f graph is above the g graph. And so we just look where that happens. Well, the f graph here at whatever this x value is, say -4, the red graph or the g graph is above the blue graph, the f graph. So it doesn't satisfy this. I want to know where the blue graph or the f graph is above the red graph or the g graph. Well, it's over here. For any of these x values, it's above. So if I go here, starting at 1, and then anything to the right, the f graph is above the g graph. And I just need to write that in animal notation. So since there's no equal sign here, I don't include the 1. So I'll go parentheses 1, and then forever to the right, which is infinity, and that's my answer. So we're saying, okay, anytime I have an x value anywhere between 1 all the way to the right, the f graph is above the g graph, or it's greater. All right, same idea. This time we have a less than, so now going with what we said there, this y value is below that y value. So now I'm just looking where the f graph is below the g graph. Well, here the g graph is above the f graph. I want to know when the f graph's below. Oh, the f graph's below. Where is blue below red? Oh, it is here. So when it's here, this time I have the equal, so I use a bracket. Anywhere over there, the blue graph is below the red graph, the g graph. In between here, in between -5 and 0, those x values, it's not below. The blue graph's above. But once I get over here to 0, again, since I have the inequality, I'll have a bracket, and then anything to the right, the f graph, or the blue graph, is below the red graph, or the g graph. Okay, so that's the idea. I'm looking where this blue graph is below the red graph. And so interval notation is going to say -infinity to -5. Remember, these are all related to x values, for what x values is true. And then we'll say union, or it's also 0 to infinity. That's my answer. Sometimes they'll say or. Usually with set notation, they use the union symbol, which means or. Okay, but there's two different areas of the graph where the blue graph's below the red graph. So the basic idea, remember this, if it says above or if it says greater than, it means above. If it says less than, it just means below. So don't make it more difficult than it is. Work with it, practice a little bit, and I think you'll get it pretty quick.